the Vivo X200 FE. I've already done one video to check out the capabilities of it, but it was more of an initial impressions instead of a full review like I'm doing here. I had limited sources of different images, styles and more. But now, after using it for a while and taking it with me to different locations, I do have some more thoughts than I had on that early video. So let's discuss the Vivo X200 FE when it comes to the capabilities of it and my experience after about a month of use. Let's dive into the video, because there are clearly things that we have to discuss when it comes to the phone. Now realistically, when it comes to the likes of this Vivo X200 FE, the main camera is perfectly fine. It's able to capture some shots that you would expect from it, that you would expect from Vivo, and it's pretty solid in terms of quality. Naturally, it's not on the level of the X200 Pro or the X200 Ultra. This also makes it important for me to note that should you be able to get a device like the X200 Pro for the same price and your use case is the camera, then I will go for the X200 Pro. But this isn't a camera comparison, but still something important to note when it comes to the Vivo X200 FE. But we'll get there in a bit. Photography wise, the Vivo X200 FE comes with the new styles. The classic negative, positive film and clear blue. Though it does miss out on the Zeiss black and white that you do see on the X200 Ultra. But if you do like your black and white photography, silent is still there as style. It's not as good as the Zeiss black and white, but it's still sufficient. For the camera setup, the main sensor is a 50 megapixel resolution, 23mm equivalent and a 1/1.56 inch sensor size with an f-stop of 1.6. During most settings, I have very little issues with it, and it is capable of delivering the shots that you would expect for it. It's quick and reliable, just like the bigger brothers are. This includes situations like low light. When it comes to the Vivo X200 FE, there are two weaknesses that we have to discuss. Depending on the kind of user, it will affect you. One of them is the ultrawide, and the other is the lack of proper macro photography. Flower shots are possible, but because of the minimum focus distance on the telephoto, it's really hard to get that proper shot in there. So those are the weaknesses. Let's showcase some examples. The telephoto. This again is fine for a zoom lens, but also the reason why I made that comment about the X200 Pro versus this. If you want a phone for the same price and the camera matters, and you can get the X200 Pro, the Vivo X200 FE simply doesn't compete with it. It has a 70mm equivalent focal length, though weirdly enough on images it will show up as 73mm, which would make it more than a 3x zoom. A 50 megapixel resolution and a sensor size of 1/1.95 inches. And an f-stop of 2.7, which is actually pretty solid. But this is also where it somewhat gets a little bit confusing. The minimum focus distance of the Vivo X200 FE simply isn't good enough when it comes to the telephoto to shoot really good solid macro photography shots. You're simply better off cropping into the main sensor to get your flower shots. Especially when it comes to the macro shots, here I feel like it's a clear weakness of the Vivo X200 FE because of the minimum focus distance not being that good on the telephoto. I made a comment when it comes to the X200 FE and what it should have been. The X200 Pro Mini. And I tend to agree, but at the same time, I wonder where it would really fit in, apart from being smaller. Let me know what you think about that.
Now, one thing about photography on a phone is that you have all kinds of different focal lengths. Naturally though, the cost of getting the very best can be expensive and hikes up a price for a phone like this. The 8 megapixel camera ultrawide, however, simply put, is very limited and honestly not very good either. In daylight though, it doesn't really have an issue. Shots come out fine just at a lower resolution. Processing really helps here, actually quite a lot, lifting the image to be quite good. Seeing how we've seen this same sensor without proper processing producing one of the worst images. But then we go into situations that really push it. Low light photography. Low light is difficult for any phone to capture the mood of the night without forcing it to look like a daytime shot. And with an ultra-wide sensor that is a 1/4 in sensor size, you simply cannot expect it to do too much. It struggles, and yes, images in these conditions simply aren't good. And of course, with only an 8 megapixel resolution, you do also miss out on 4K video recording. Now, how much this really matters to you is something that only you can decide. For me though, I hardly ever use the ultra-wide sensor if it wasn't for making these videos. But I do use it, and because of making these videos, it's important to showcase some weaknesses of phones as well. And in this case, the ultrawide is definitely a weakness when it comes to the camera on the Vivo X200 FE.
Now it is quite dark here and I'm using our light to see how well balanced the light is on this X200 FE. It is of course a lot smaller than for instance the Vivo V30 I think. So it will be a little bit harsher, but yeah, this is how the light works.
If we look past the ultrawide and the absence of those really nice macro shots, this phone shines in other ways. In day-to-day life, it's smooth, it's reliable, it has a 6500 mAh battery inside. It can easily last me through the day, and then some. The fact that they managed to put this much battery life in a phone of this smaller size is honestly impressive. Though it's worth noting, if you do buy the version in Austria or Hungary, you will find a smaller battery inside, a 5300 mAh battery. The display too is really solid, it gets bright enough, even under the glare of a sunny day. Though in the dark, I do feel like it could be a little bit dimmer.
At the end, I would say that the Vivo X200 FE is a very capable device, and for someone who wants a more compact body, I know David, it's not compact like a 5.9 inch body, I would say that I think it's excellent. It has great battery life, the CPU is perfectly fine for most day-to-day things and for gaming as well. I really haven't run into any issues when it comes to that side of the phone itself. The weaknesses that are stated when it comes to this review, I would say, is that ultra-wide is holding it back when it comes to the experience. Depending on the price that you can get it for, if you can find a Vivo X200 Pro for about the same price, then I would definitely suggest getting the X200 Pro, because simply put, that's the better phone when it comes to the camera. Yes, if you do like selfies, that ring will help, because it diffuses the light a little bit more and therefore it isn't as harsh as a normal small circle. But that being said, that really depends on, of course, the light situations that you are using as well. When it comes to the X200 FE, it is capable in terms of camera when you are using the main sensor and also somewhat the telephoto. It just misses out when it comes to the capabilities of the ultra wide and macro as well, because you gotta crop in to the main sensor or either stand too far away to use the telephoto. Either way, let me know what you think about the Vivo X200 FE and what really matters to you when it comes to the phone capabilities, and of course, if you think that the smaller, more compact body is something that you would be interested in, or would you go for a bigger body like the X200 Pro when getting such a camera upgrade, especially for, of course, the ultra wide and the periscope. Let me know in the comments below. Either way, before we leave, I really want to thank my members. Thank you so much for the support. It really means a lot to me. And if you, of course, want to become a member, you can by clicking join below somewhere. And of course, members will get access to raw files with comparisons and, of course, solo videos as well. Either way, I do hope that you enjoyed this video. Of course, if you did, don't forget to like, subscribe and everything. And talk to you guys in the next.